grew up in small boony town, Missouri. Like I want to say, population of the town I grew up in now is 1,000 people. I mean, the community there is definitely white, white America, white Midwest America. To me, it's interesting, like the dynamics that work within that town because you have people that are military, but you also have meth capital of the U.S. for the longest time, one county over. And then you also have all these people that are like old Crocker. Like, have you ever saw the documentary Jesus Camp?
No, but
I know people in it. Like revivals where like people would be talking in tongues and like saying you're going to hell and fire and brimstone and like would be like and that's such a bad. No, I mean my neighbors were. I mean, growing up, actually, in the first house we lived there, our neighbors were in trailers and they would come down. We would play basketball on my little Michael Jordan. It was nice in the aspect that it definitely has that like small community feel. But at the same time, it's also very, me being, very much more liberal than the rest of the people that live there, definitely made it interesting at times. Having all those, like, I guess, different cloisters or like groups somehow intermingle and there never be too much of an issue made it really interesting for like growing up and seeing the dynamics between people. And it's also around a military base because I grew up in a military family.
no way.
So my parents split up when I was 5, so 92. So we were sort of separated between my mom and dad like 1 week with each other. My mom actually we lived in a trailer park at like a town over. I remember like it just being crazy. I guess after it, like my mom sort of went on like her like liberation, for lack of better words, because she had 4 kids, had been married to the same guy for close to 20 years. She also would date a lot of black guys. I don't know. I think my mom having done that, I know in a weird way, it's like definitely opened up my mind to be like, oh, well, yes, I have some very racist driven friends, but fuck them. She'd be dating this guy named Clay. That's the one I remember very well. She said that she had a date coming over, and that they were going to go watch a movie. And I remember him coming over. It's weird because I want to say it wasn't Brute. Like I remember the scent. I don't know why. I just remember the scent. Clay came over. I was watching the Bulls play, and like that was Steve Kerr, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen those days, the heyday. And he was just like, "Oh, I see you like the Bulls," and like I had been playing basketball my whole entire life. I just remember he's like, "Oh yeah, I love playing basketball," and I think the thing that really made me instantly sort of like him and be more open to him was like, oh, because this was when like McDonald's were first starting to like build play places, and the one that we had at our like the town had basketball goals as well. And so I remember one time he was like, "You know what? I'll take you to McDonald's sometime. We'll have lunch. You can get a Happy Meal, and we'll play basketball." And I was like, "Oh, awesome!" That's the first time I met Clay. It was interesting because and then we went over to his house one time, and he had a lot of his friends from the military there, and there were Hispanics, there was black people, there was white people. So it was like, I guess the dynamics of it were very interesting because especially like with the military, like those are like cover my 6 kind of thing, and like having that dynamics between like where you could see that people really cared about each other. So like I guess being sort of exposed to the black community at like 6 or 7, sort of it opens your eyes. You're like, oh, there's this whole new world, especially growing up in a small town in Missouri. So I guess for me, it never was really an issue because, I mean, there's definitely people like a few other gay people in my town that I could definitely see like how they had it definitely a lot rougher than I did. Name calling and, just people being derogative and saying nasty comments to them. For the longest time, I felt like I needed to keep like a front up. Part of it might have been because I was like a jock, for lack of better words. But I was also like the band geek and also like the drama nerd. Then once I started like, making my friends that I was able to make, they started to, I guess, allow for the wall to be sort of broken down, to be more open with myself. And so that definitely helped tremendously. The way I can definitely tell you that I remember, I was like, man, yep, I'm pretty sure I'm gay, was we had just gotten, I think it was like DirecTV or something, and we got Showtime and Queer as Folk. Me and my sister would stay up in high school to watch Queer as Folk. I was like, man, like I sort of identify with these people, like these guys on this show. And I was like, oh, maybe I am gay. I guess my family being who they are has always been pretty open and accepting. So how old was I when I came out? Maybe like 19 or 20. I just remember like my mom being like, so what? And then like I remember coming out and like, especially like this, because before I came out though, I had moved to St. Louis and sort of had a fake ID and would go to the bars. And so I was exposed to it a lot more. And like, I was like, fuck this. I'm like, I'm not going to be scared of who I am anymore. There's one time I was at this drag bar in St. Louis. It was around Halloween. And I remember going outside because I was talking on the phone and like the music was just too loud in there. I was like, okay, let me just go outside. And there was these like kids just walking by. They're just talking shit. And I'm like, just ignore them because I'm talking on my phone. But they know it's a gay bar because there's a big old rainbow flag out in front. And next thing I know, I'm like like how sometimes when you get hit in the head, like you have like that big old flash, like that white flash. I had that happen, and little did I know they had just like busted like two like not carved out pumpkins, but like complete pumpkins up from my head. It was weird because like I think it didn't necessarily hurt. I think it was more like I was just so upset that it actually happened to me. Because sometimes you think, oh, it's never going to happen to me. But then it did, and I was like, I just remember bawling my eyes out. And like, just like, what just happened? Like, where is everything going on? And just having that like utter confusion. Like, oh, this really did just happen to me.